So Chiefs practice wrapped up today, and it was a big one for a couple of names Chiefs Kingdom has had their eyes on all camp. Jadon Canady just jumped one of the veterans on the depth chart, and Cyrus Allen got hurt again today, and I'll get to that update in just a moment. I've also got real news on a familiar face returning to Kansas City and a positive update on when Mansoor Delane might finally be turned loose. I comb through every rep, quote, and report out of St. Joe today, so you don't have to. Here's everything from today's practice at Chiefs training camp that mattered. Let's start with the news I mentioned earlier, because the Chiefs made a roster move today, bringing back defensive end Emmanuel Ogbah on a one-year deal. It's a reunion. Ogbah won a Super Bowl here with this franchise back in 2020, and there's real sentimental value in a move like this for some fans. But let's be completely honest about where he is in his career at the moment, because the numbers tell a pretty clear story. Ogbah is 32 years old now. Last season with Jacksonville, he managed just half a sack and 16 total pressures. Pro Football Focus graded him at a 45.9 overall, which ranked 111th out of 115 edge defenders in the entire NFL. His pass rush grade specifically fell to a 51.7, and he won an individual rep just 6.5% of the time. He also played in less than 30% of Jacksonville's defensive snaps all season long, and it got bad enough that he was actually a healthy scratch for their playoff game against the Buffalo Bills. Now, the reason for that decline isn't a total mystery. Jacksonville brought him in purely as a rotational depth piece behind Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker, two guys already handling the heavy lifting up front for the Jags. He was never supposed to be a primary contributor there, and when he didn't produce even in that limited role a little bit, the Jaguars simply just moved on in the offseason. But here's the part worth remembering, though. Back in 2023, in an even more limited role with Miami, Ogbah turned just 144 pass rushing snaps into 5.5 sacks, which is genuinely efficient production. And in 2024, once Miami starters got banged up and his playing time spiked, his pressure count jumped right back up to 33. So the talent hasn't completely disappeared. It just needs the right role and the right opportunity to show up. Ogbah's not going to be somebody that comes in here and makes this room amazing. It's going to raise the floor just a little bit. We only have 4, maybe 5 defensive ends right now that have a threat to make this roster, and maybe Ogbah doesn't even make the roster. It also doesn't prevent Brett Veach from maybe going out and signing someone else like Bosa. However, this is the exact kind of move Kansas City looks for. It's not a difference-maker addition, not a starter, but a familiar face who knows this locker room. He knows Spag's scheme, and he gives this defensive line some experienced depth heading into the season. Plus, Steve Spagnuolo sounded genuinely excited about it too today.
Yeah, I always had an affection for E. It was disappointing the one year we had him in 2019 when I thought he was really coming on, and then he got hurt, and then we didn't have him at the end of the year. But I've always periodically been in touch with him. We got to get through the physical and all those other things, but if he's part of our group, I'll be excited about that.
So now let's get through today's health report. Trey Smith, Drew Tranquill, and L'Jarius Sneed were all out again today, and Omar Normalot remains on the PUP list. Cyrus Allen was back to being a full participant today. He's working through that shin injury from earlier in camp. Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy both still appear to be in some kind of a load management ramp-up session, and the same goes for Ashton Gelati and Christian Fulton. There's one new injury to flag from today. Second-year wide receiver Jimmy Holiday left practice early after making a diving catch out of bounds late in the session. He left in the front seat of the golf cart heading up the hill, and we know what that usually means. It's probably nothing serious, and we don't need that for him, especially with the preseason right around the corner, giving him a real chance to make his case for the 53-man roster. Speaking of this preseason, though, there's only 2 more practices left before the Chiefs open things up against the Rams on August 15th. So every single rep going forward from here on out starts to matter just a little bit more. So let's get into the story that has Chiefs Kingdom fired up a little bit, because a rookie cornerback made a real jump on the depth chart today. The Chiefs did release the depth chart from yesterday, the 53-man, but the secondary is starting to look maybe a little bit different going into week 2 of depth charts. Rookie corner Jadon Canady has strung together enough good practices that he's now pretty much jumped Kader Kohou in the pecking order at nickel. He's been working reps with the second team now. He's still behind Christian Roland Wallace for sure for that starting nickel job, but this kid keeps stacking days, and it's easy to see why Chiefs Kingdom has taken a liking to him. Another good story is Jaden Hicks. He's trending in the right direction now finally. putting together back-to-back strong practices with multiple pass breakups during 11-on-11 drills. After a rough 2025 for him, seeing him find a groove right now is genuinely a good sign heading into this season. Let's hope he gets out of Spag's doghouse. And here's the update everyone's been waiting on. Brett Veach gave a real timeline on Mansoor Delane's shoulder, saying he doesn't think it's going to be long-term. He says there's nothing limiting him out there right now, and he's already taking all of his 7-on-7 reps. Veach said in the next 7 to 8 days, Delane should be getting the green light to do every single thing. Spags was asked about the corner room too today, and he said neither L'Jarius Sneed nor Delane has practiced much to this point, and that health, continuity, and who earns enough reps are all still being sorted out before week 1. It's pretty encouraging, and it's honest, and it's the exact kind of update we need to hear right now. But hey, if you're finding any value in today's video, hit that like button for me. Let's get this thing to 400 likes. Also, if you don't want to miss any updates like this going forward, smash that sub button now. Now back to the show. Now about that Cyrus Allen update I mentioned earlier, he opened the 11-on-11 blitz period with back-to-back catches, including an isolated one-on-one back shoulder grab near the sideline that was about as impressive as it actually sounds. Then he got tangled up with Christian Fulton and started limping toward the sideline yet again. But Allen wasn't out for too long. He came right back onto the field and was targeted on back-to-back reps the moment he returned. So a 5th-round pick getting this much trust from Patrick Mahomes this early into camp doesn't seem too normal, and it's becoming harder and harder to write off as just hype at this point. One more story worth mentioning today, Rashee Rice spoke to reporters for the first time since serving his jail sentence, and it sounds like a guy who's genuinely trying to move forward the right way.
I'm 100% locked in on what's going on now with the team, ready to go out there and dominate, and that I got a good group of brotherhood behind me. I learned an experience, a reality check, and don't focus on the past, focus on what's going on now.
He said he's 100% locked in on the team right now. He's ready to go out and dominate, and that he's leaned on a small circle of people, good coaches, good agents, and kept himself away from anyone outside of football. He specifically credited leaning on Patrick Mahomes. He said they did the rehab together this offseason. And what stood out most is what he said he wants to actually improve on this year. Not catches, not yards, but the plays where the ball isn't even coming to him. Rice talked about wanting to be better in all the small details, throwing that extra block to spring guys like Kenneth Walker, Cyrus Allen, and maybe even Tyquan Thornton. That's a different kind of maturity than you usually hear from a guy in a contract year. And when asked directly about that contract situation, Rice basically shrugged it off, said being back on the field with his brothers is what's motivating him right this second, and the money conversation is a problem for another day. Spags also touched on the 3rd linebacker spot today a little bit, saying he likes what Jeffrey Boss has been doing, and that Jack Cochran is a jack of all trades who can play every spot, adding there's just a lot of opportunities there to figure out. And rookie defensive end Felix Enudike-Uzama continues to flash in one-on-one drills, winning reps both around the edge and on the inside, which is exactly the kind of rotational impact this defensive line needs from him this season. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring tonight's episode. Let's jump right in and do some entries. We're going to go a little off the beaten path and go to NFL kickers. We're going to start out with the Chiefs' own Harrison Butker, 2026 regular season field goals, 28.5 field goals made. We're going to go more. This is a bounce back year for Harrison Butker. Right next to him, we're going to go Dicker the kicker, 31.5 field goals made. We're going to go more on that one as well. Let's come down here and go to Jason Myers, Seattle Seahawks, trying to repeat as Super Bowl champs. Not going to happen because the Chiefs are still in the NFL. 30.5 season field goals made. I'm going to go ahead and say more on that too. And we're going to go ahead and lock this in. Right now, you can go down to the description, find the link, use code HMA, and the new offer right now Prize Picks is running is play $5, get $150 if you win your first lineup. And now, back to the show. So a real full day. Jadon Canady's climbing the depth chart, Delane getting a real green light timeline, Cyrus Allen doing things that are hard to explain away, Rashee Rice sounding like a man with a real focus, and a familiar face walking back through the door at St. Joe here in the next few days in Emmanuel Ogbah. And if you missed yesterday's camp update, where Bieniemy was heard screaming across the field at players in his first practice back, then you're going to want to watch this video.